Welcome, seekers of the unknown, as we pull back the veil between the living and beyond. Unraveling questions that plague our minds, and oftentimes presenting the evidence that may prove them true. Let us take you on a journey where paranormal becomes normal, and where what is right behind you just might be echoes of the afterlife or something more. But fair warning, once you step into the supernatural with us, you might just stay haunted.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Stay Haunted. It is a cold-ass Monday.
Cold.
Cold-ass
Cold.
I'm
nice and warm. I'm warm.
Carmela's nice and warm.
I won't flick my shoe up, but my feet warmers on.
Oh,
My
dude.
feet warmers.
Throw them in the microwave and you got instant warm feet.
Oh, nice.
And they smell like lavender. Not making me sleepy, but
Nope.
nothing makes me sleepy.
Andres is sitting at 5 degrees in Perrysburg right now.
It's
You're
cold.
right here. Oh, you have your gas, your
Your gas heater, your fireplace.
fireplace. Thank
Fireplace, yeah. Well, no, the room. So,
Right.
you. Right.
Yeah, not in her office.
yeah. No, it's supposed to be, they've already closed schools tomorrow throughout the city. It's supposed to be, with the wind chill factor, -20 tomorrow.
Oh my.
You have off tomorrow?
I don't. Schools.
It's not like school where you go to work.
I know, right? Should be, darn it all.
I mean,
Right.
who wants to leave their
So for
house?
everybody watching, the reason we're on 3 screens here is Chris is traveling for work again. I left the house at 4 a.m. this morning and drove through a -6 wind chill squall all the way to Detroit to catch a flight to Philly. And the branch that I control up here in Pensacola, New Jersey, is literally 15 minutes from Todd and Carmela's house. So currently, Todd, Carmela, and I are about 30 minutes apart currently because I'm on the 11th floor of my hotel. And Audra is at home in Perrysburg, freezing her little tushy off.
Yes, I am.
And you brought some of that snow and cold with you from Detroit.
Oh, bullshit. It was here when I landed.
All right. I told you, I said, yeah, we got 3.5 inches of snow yesterday, and then it's a little chilly, not as cold as in back home where Audra is.
Mm-mm.
It is
But
cold.
it's cold. It's I think it's close to 20, maybe in the teens now. So
Yeah, it was, I think, 14 with, I think, wind chill of like 2 all day today. It was
Oh, it's a good number too.
So how was your weekend?
exhausting. What did we
Yeah.
do? We did like family stuff all over the place this weekend. It was typical.
Well, I got home from Boston about 12:30 Friday afternoon.
Then we did our normal Friday at the Mexican for happy hour.
Okay.
And then Saturday was my uncle's. We celebrated his birthday at a really nice steakhouse. But then, gosh, it was Sunday was errands, and we went over to my sister's house to kind of help her out since her stupid boyfriend just up and left her.
Oh boy.
And took groceries and everything. So,
Stop.
yeah, really nice. Don't ever do that.
Wow. I didn't know we were broadcasting that. Hopefully she's not watching.
I know.
Oh, we thought we were just having a normal conversation.
General
It
conversation.
is just a general conversation.
So I went over there, salted her driveway. We took her some groceries.
I thought you said you assaulted. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
The driveway got a little mouthy with me, so
I mean, I agree. You should be, but okay.
That's
All right.
for those of you not in cold climates, I salted the driveway because if you don't, it'll freeze over.
not assaulted.
Not assaulted.
Not assaulted.
We don't
want.
want to get Chris arrested tonight.
Come on and say
Yeah.
hi.
Well, no,
Here's your
it
daily
gets better. It gets better because then I went home and I packed for Philly. Or no, we ran errands. And then I went home and packed for Philly after we did all that. And then we went over to the parents' house and I chipped and shoveled ice off their driveway and then salted their driveway. And then I beat up their driveway too.
Right.
Look, Lacey had to come in and say hi again.
You know, Lacey has to.
Lacey.
She didn't join us last week, so she's like, "Oh, let me come and bug them tonight." So,
Yeah. And then
Lacey, Lacey. So.
Today was fixing my parents' garage door, the whole opener, like replaced everything. And I kind of shoveled their drive a little bit more for them. And then my aunt, her car and her were up from the south too. And she just moved back. And of course, her windshield wiper fluid again. If y'all live in the north, you know,
we got to buy 2 bottles today.
So hers froze. So she came over her car in the garage.
Yeah, she didn't. Wow. She forgot to put the negative stuff in when she moved up here, and it froze.
Right.
It's been
the other bottle.
Yeah,
we did use both.
Yeah,
but the good news is tomorrow night I get to see Todd and Carmela.
It's true.
Taking them to dinner.
A haunted location.
Haunted location for dinner. So
we're gonna weasel our way in.
Nice.
That's right.
They're not watching because they have a newborn, so I can say what I want.
So, what did we do this week?
Yeah, you guys, Todd and Carmela. Hopefully, it was more relaxing.
I think it was relaxing, right?
I think it was.
Yeah, I don't think
we did anything.
I don't think we did anything except for today. We went to the hospital to visit our niece who just had a little baby girl last night.
Yeah,
we were great aunt and uncles again.
Yeah, aunt and uncles. But what did they ask you at the hospital?
What did they ask?
Oh, is this Grandpa? I said, oh no, he's
not
Santa.
yet.
He's
not
Santa.
yet.
I'm sorry, he's Santa.
I'm Santa. I'm great uncle. Not grandpa
but
yet.
She was quick though. She was quick to answer. Oh, great uncle then, and he's like, yes, great uncle.
That's
funny.
Yeah, that was great.
So that was basically our weekend. We had enjoyed the snow, watched the snow all weekend and stuff. So
thank you, Raul.
Thank you, Raul. Hello to everybody in chat.
I know. Good turnout.
I'm starting to sweat.
The normal crew. Well, you got to take your foot warmers off.
My foot's.
She's starting to sweat from her heated foot slippers. I says, well, you got to take them off then.
Hey, real quick, guys. Everybody put Race in your prayers. I just got a message from him. He's apparently in the ER again.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he didn't tell me why, but he's had some health issues over the last year. Race, for everybody watching, Race is our program director for UNX. He kicks us live to their audio and stuff every week. But apparently he's in the ER. That's why he couldn't join us before the show. So everybody do some prayer shout outs for Race.
Everybody say a prayer for Race. Send him well wishes, good vibes. So
good vibes this way.
All righty then. Well, enough about us.
Yeah.
Let's get to our awesome special guest this evening.
Right. So, guys, tonight we got a real special guest. We got Tim Shaw. He's a psychic medium, author, speaker, investigator, and paranormal collector. I am not going to read his whole bio because it would take the rest of the show because this guy is phenomenal. But I'm going to hit some parts of it. Tim has been a lifelong researcher in the fields of the paranormal and metaphysical, growing up in the Western New York State and having relatives in the Lilydale Spiritualistic Assembly, a spiritualistic community. It was only natural for him to develop an interest in the metaphysical fields, having been brought up as Roman Catholic and a spiritualist. Gave Tim great insights into the miraculous as well as the phenomenon of the worlds around us. Tim is a median with the National Spiritualist Association of Churches, the Omega Institute, and the Priesthood of I'm not going to pronounce that because I don't want to mess it up. He's a successful author, lecturer, media personality, photographer. He's penned Ghost of Buffalo, Mysteries, Murders, and Mayhem in the City, The Nickel City, The Dogma of Me. There's a bunch in here, guys. It's in the bio. Look them up and make sure you purchase them. Tim has also sought out and consulted and appeared in movies and television for the Discovery Channel's Ghost Lab, Sci-Fi's Ghost Hunter, Spikes, Ghost Ops, Destination America's Paranormal Lockdown. Good Lord, Tim, you have done a lot. But most recently, he has appeared on the network shows A Haunting to Return to the Bergen House, The Adam Street Haunting, which is an episode on Steve Skippy's Haunted Sigma series. He's a radio and podcast host. on the Psychics Next Door Curiosity Radio, and he has also got a vodcast. Where did it go? Sorry guys, it's a long bio. Tim does a lot of stuff.
The Black Cat Lounge.
That's it, Black Cat Lounge. Guys, I'm gonna let Tim tell you the rest because then I don't take up the whole show. So we're gonna invite Tim S. Everybody say hello to Tim Shaw.
Hello,
Hey guys.
Yeah,
And the one thing you did forget was I am chief cook and bottle washer here. That's
there you go.
right.
that's a high.
Thanks for inviting me on, guys.
We appreciate you coming on. As I think when I reached out to you, Tim, you were like, yeah, come on. I'm happy to come on and talk shop with you. So we are most appreciative to have you on.
Well, you know, it's always fun because I know, I mean, the Black Cat Lounge has been around I think 25 or 26 years. And I just enjoy not having to be on your side of the microphone. It's fun to be on my side of the microphone for a change. So I, you know, when you guys reached out, I said, yeah, absolutely. Let's just try to get a date.
Yep.
Right.
Fantastic. So Tim, we're going to touch base on all the things that you've done, but the one thing I always like to do with the audience is you've been a lifelong researcher in the field of paranormal. You were part of the spiritualistic community with your family. Mm-hmm. Tell them what drew you into the metaphysical and the spiritual side and the investigator side of the paranormal that got you hooked.
Oh, it's real simple. Spiritualism has been in my family since the golden age, the 1880s. And I was brought up Roman Catholic, and there's a lot of things that aren't really taught in Catholicism, especially going to parochial school back in the 60s and 70s. Mm-hmm. But what really stuck in my head was we would go out and visit relatives in the Lilydale Assembly, which is a spiritualist community. I mean, it was like, hey, Deb, how are you? There's my love, the love of my life, Deb. Oh, my God, Deb DeRosa. I love her so much. I love RJ. I love the two of them so much. But, I mean, I was there for years and years, off and on. I think I was introduced in 1972. And I started going to do Lyceum. And Lyceum is a spiritualist Sunday school. So we would spend a lot of weekends up there and such. And, you know, it was really interesting because going to a parochial school, being taught by nuns and going to church all the time and stuff, you would always hear about miracles, but you never really, you know, kind of like experienced anything. But when you went down to Lilydale, you had mediums, you had hands-on healing, you had all this stuff that was going on. And it was great because as a kid, you know, you had a split session. In the morning, it was like book work and, you know, you had to learn, it was like catechism. You had to learn all your ABCs and that sort of thing. But in the evening, in the afternoon, they would have like fun stuff. You would experience mediumship. You would practice mediumship. They didn't allow, I'll just say my brand, the spiritualist religion that I personally belong to is the National Spiritual Association of Churches, and they do not condone using any tools of divination. But I mean, we still use, like, you know, on a polished surface, we use a shot glass for yes or no answers. But we also did something called children's seance, and it was really great because it was like it was a modified Victorian seance that was actually done in daylight. So the bottom line is, it was what we are being trained for is to be of service to both sides, spirit and man. And we were being trained not to be afraid of stuff that went on. Because a lot of times, I mean, you guys as paranormal investigators, you guys absolutely know that, you know, when something moves, something bangs, everybody, you know, everybody kind of clenches their butt cheeks and like, oh, you know, and everybody's like, oh my God. And it trains you not to do
you. Was that you? No, that wasn't me. Was that you?
That's exactly. I mean, you know, they allowed for seance, they allowed like the spirit trumpet and, you know, bells and that sort of thing. And, you know, you'd be sitting there and that trumpet would actually kind of move and you could start hearing the whispers coming out of the small end. And something would come off the table, or you would hear a rap against the wall. And it trains you not to be afraid of it. So for me, it was just a natural progression after I went through everything. You know, in all honesty, I grew up during disco. So I was like from 72 to about 76. I was really into spiritualism and all that. And then from 76 going into the early 80s, it was all sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I'm not going to lie. That's the way it was. That was really important. And then I got married in 82, and I kind of came back into the religion in 82, and I got really, really serious into it. And it's kind of funny because it was just like I actually came back into it through my love of history and working with Native Americans and understanding their lifestyles. And throughout my career, I've been lucky. I've been blessed because I never sought anybody out, and I just stumble into people, literally stumble into people. And I worked like with Mike Bestine, who was an Algonquin wisdom keeper, and I got a chance to know the late Pine Hill tree, the late Pine Tree Chief of the Tuscarora Nation. And so I got a chance to go, and I got a chance to really meet with some great religious people. And that actually, for some unknown reason, that resonated with me. And then that brought me right back into spiritualism because I could see the similarities. So that's just it in a nutshell. I mean, it took to me because it was a natural thing. When people talk about miracles, they often talk one-dimensional or two-dimensional. It's like teaching history in high school. You read out of a book, and the kids have no real concept. But when you actually are able to experience stuff that goes on, and you can't explain it, and you're seeing, you're experiencing things like transfiguration, where somebody gets an ectoplasmic mask over their face, and you're starting to see faces change and that sort of thing. That becomes almost really mind-blowing, and that's what imprints. So for me, it was just natural, and everything was acceptable. So the tagline that's always used: "There's nothing paranormal; it's all normal. Science just hasn't caught up with it yet." That's what it is. And to me, everything is just like that. So that's really how I got hooked into it, and I've just never really looked back.
Huh. Let me ask you this, because I'm really confused. I'm also Roman Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
I was never allowed to talk about anything that I saw or I did, and I also went to Catholic school.
Yep.
I never had children's seance there. We never had anything like that.
Yeah.
It's funny because the past president, Virginia, of the National Spiritual Association of Churches, she married a former Jesuit theologian from Georgetown University, and they had probably one of the most fantastic lectures that I personally have ever experienced. And it was a comparison of Catholicism and spiritualism. And in all honesty, everything was so similar. The names are changed. That's what it was. The names have changed. And the divinity of Christ, of course, that's not really in spiritualism. That's not really, Christ is an enlightened teacher like Buddha and Muhammad and that sort of thing,
Right.
rather than, divinity.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, it was all the same. Now, I've worked with a couple exorcists over the years, and I was like, for me as a spiritualist, brought up no demons, no devil, no angels, none of that stuff. I had guides and that sort of thing. But a lot of it was all energy related. And I used to argue with this one guy. I said, "Bishop, what do you, don't give me this stuff. I'm so tired of hearing this. What's wrong with it? I don't want to go and, don't be telling me about demons and all that." So he says, "Tim, what do you call this? What do you call when something happens like this?" I said, "Well, that's like a lower energy." He goes, "That's what we call like demons and that sort of thing, and the minions."
Right.
It's just how they word it.
That's all. It's somatics. That's all it is. And when you start thinking about it in those terms, it becomes so simple. Everything. And that's where I started looking at like comparison religions. And I started seeing the similarities between so many of these religions. And I thought that, to me, I found that so fascinating. And people really, they get hung up on the words. themselves. Whereas I don't get hung up on that stuff. Here's an example. Again, this is something where I was just talking to a lady on the phone about just before we came on the air. It was she was like, why do you go and not call a demon what it is, a demon? And I said, here's the way I think of it. You're a farmer and you have a prized pig. His name is Elmer. Now in the fall, you're going to slaughter Elmer and eat him all winter long. How are you going to be able to go and slaughter Elmer and really enjoy eating him? Because now you've made it personal. And for me, by calling with this lower energy, whatever it is, by a proper name, a title, now I'm personalizing it. So when I go out there and I'm going to, let's say there's a negative case that I'm consulting on, or a negative case we're working, or if we're going to clear a house or whatever, I have no attachment. I'm not worried about it. It's energy. Energy is energy. And to me, I go and I look at it like that. It's almost like a mechanic. You go, you look at a car, a part is a part. And you replace a part, you work with the part, and that's the way I attract, or I attack things. So I try never to like get too personal with anything like that. Even in my own thinking, I try not to ever do that. And and I've been doing this for a long time, and I've only had trouble once in all the years I've done this, and it was a temporal attachment, a couple days, but it was my own fault because of my own ego. And now I just go and just whatever. And it's like people are like, Tim, but how come you don't pray before you go in? How come you don't like bring down protection? I don't care. I know it's not gonna attack. It's not gonna attach to me.
You're not giving it. What's Chris? What do you say? You don't give it. What's the phrase that you don't
give it
acknowledge
attention?
I don't acknowledge it. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I knew the late Ray Buckland really well, and Ray taught me a lot of things. And Ray, in case anybody doesn't know, Ray was instrumental in forming the Wiccan religion here in the United States. He was from England, and I knew him during these Lilydale spiritualist days, towards the end of his life. And he said, "So you believe, so it is." And that's the way that I manifest in that way. I go and I kind of live my life that way. So if I believe it, it's gonna, believe it enough. But the secret is you have to believe it 100%. Because if you don't believe it that 100%, then that's your chink in the armor, and that's where you have problems. So I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, and believe it. And that's so Mary Beth, who, hey, Mary Beth. So she was saying, basically kind of talking about, she has a family member, that was recovering from brain tumor, but she believed, she prayed and believed. So that's what kind of made her.
Well, I've had over 70 procedures, 10 bladder surgeries, and 2 chemo washes. And you know what? My last surgery, I had to go in a couple of years ago, and they got to remove these polyps all the time because if they are fast acting. So my wife and I were both like, after I got through the initial shock, of course, now I got to go in again. Yeah. But we both felt the same thing. There's nothing there. There's going to be nothing there. So I go in for the procedure. Doctor comes out, goes to my wife, says, "I'm so sorry to have put the two of you through this. They're not there." And he knew what I did because I had to do an investigation of his house. That's a long story. But he says to my urologist, said to my wife, "Well, you're into that woo-woo stuff." He goes, "I should have known." So I'm a firm believer in it, and you have to have belief in something. And I think the problem with a lot of paranormal people is they're conflicted by their old beliefs and going up against like new thought and maybe what's going on. And I think they walk into a situation where they don't have that 100% belief system, and that's where they can sometimes get into trouble. And let's face it, you look out there in the world, and there's parasitical people as well as parasitical spirits. and they're looking to feed off of you, that energy. Parasitical spirits are there to feed off that energy, and they'll do anything to go and, you know, get that high. So, I mean, if they can scare you in some way, if you get an EVP, let's say, and it says F you, if I didn't go out and get at least one EVP that said F you every time I've been out, I consider it a total disappointment. But people will hear that and say, I don't want to do this anymore. And it freaks them. Yeah. And it's always in the back of your mind. You know, it's like, how many times have you gone and see like a horror movie, a nasty horror movie? And the worst part of it is always in the back of your mind. So then all of a sudden you're driving down some lone road and you're thinking about this, you know? You're freaking yourself out. But that's a lot of times that's what happens to people. And it happens with belief, unfortunately.
That adrenaline gets a flow and get you all worked up.
Hey, listen. The number one most important piece of equipment that I have in my Parapack, extra underwear. Just to be on the safe side. Not gonna fool around with it.
For Christmas this year, a shark kit. So it comes with wipes, it comes with soap, it comes with antibacterial stuff. I'm like, just in case.
Never listen, I don't leave home without it. I'm one of those guys that I leave for a 3-day Paracon. I have at least 10 pairs of underwear with me. So I'm all set to go. No matter what. Dude wipes are in there. We're good. We're all good for the weekend.
Hey, those shirts that say I EVP'd myself, somebody actually did it. Then they came up with the shirt.
Somebody had to do it early on.
Right.
A quick shout out to our good friend Miss Lourdes. And I'm sure Ron's around there somewhere.
Hey guys.
I'm sure he's watching too.
I love you guys.
So yeah, about the conflict. So we've been together since high school, and I can relate to that struggle a little bit because we're relatively new investigators. We've only a little over 3 years now, but we're both raised Roman Catholic, raised in that belief system, and believe there's a God. I still believe in Jesus and the miracles and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But
you never throw the baby out with the bathwater. Yeah. That's the important thing. If you're going to be a good investigator, you become firm in your belief system, but you're also open enough to accept other people, because 90% of what you're doing, especially in negative cases, is re-educating that person.
Right.
That all this stuff is going on to. So you never throw the baby out with the bathwater. My religion, my belief system is no better than anybody else's. And that's why I think that I've been able to hang out long enough, been around since Moses, I think.
I think I was afraid in the beginning, but now it's kind of like, not that I don't care, but I figure it is what it is, and go in there, make the best out of it. I'm not looking for negative.
Mm-hmm.
It's only fine. And when I talk to people and I say, well, what is a demon? Because they ask me, aren't you afraid you're going to get an attachment? I said, well, what is a demon? And then I said, well, it could be an angry person. I said, well, if you're an angry person in real life, you're going to be an angry person over there. I wouldn't say he's a demon.
Exactly. It's like even with my Ouija boards. You know how many times I get Zozo that comes through? I mean, I swear to God, I'll go, yeah, okay, Zozo, do something. I'm really impressed that you can spell Z-O-Z-O, and it's like, you got to look at it, and you have to be able to figure out how to depower whatever you're working with. And that's the big thing. I mean, Johnny Zaffis always taught me how to try to look for what's powering it, what we call the battery is. And if you can find that 90% of the time, you've already taken care of it. Most of the time it's control. You're in control in all spiritual matters around you. And that's what people don't get. They hand their power over to something that whether it's another person or it's the unknown. And with me, it's like, no, there's none of that stuff. I have my basement, as you can tell, is just full of all sorts of interesting things.
That keeps scaring me.
I have no problem whatsoever with anything that's going on down. There's nothing. Once in a while, I see a shadow person down here, but that's it. I have never seen anything else down here.
Carmela has a question about. No, go ahead, Chris.
I was going to ask the same thing. I have a question about the picture behind you to the left.
Yes.
What's attached to that picture?
Which? Okay, this is my right.
Yeah.
This one.
No, the
Yes.
other way.
Another one.
This
The
one?
one above the radio. The radio.
That one.
Yeah, that one.
That one.
Oh, I'm talking
That is
about the
a-
other side.
That's a
Oh,
past.
no.
That's a past.
Oh, you're talking about the other side.
Well, actually, both of them are the same. They're past president of a Grand Army of the Republic Civil War Union Veterans organization, and both of those came from an antique dealer. And these were after the American Civil War. The Grand Army of the Republic was a huge nationwide organization in the 1880s to take care of invalid, Union veterans. And their big thing was, charity to take care of them. And that's what these are. These are two past presidents from there. And then the whole back here, that whole area here, that's just full of photographs of past Civil War GAR members. And to be honest with you, these small pictures here, there was always more activity associated with them than I have on the other side of this. On the other side of this, the camera here, where I have like the haunted objects and asylum pieces and African effigies and all my hair jewelry from the Victorian age and that. So I mean, this is all really more active, and the reason why it's more active is because it was venerated by the individual person, and I believe that they were able to go and impart some kind of energy into those either photographs or small tokens. So again, positive, negative doesn't matter. If everybody considers them haunted, and I love them. I mean, that's.
I see something that Mr. Allgood would really, really like that's behind you. Do you see it, Chris?
The silver skull.
Oh, that's on top of one of my African drums.
That's all. That's a silver skull.
Sorry, the screen's this big for me, so I can't see it.
that little silver skull there, that came from Dave Tango's dad. Bruce gave that to me, sent that to me for my birthday one year. We were filming awesome. Down in New Jersey, and I met him for breakfast, and he gave me that for my birthday. So he's a great guy.
Nice birthday present.
That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, that radio, that's actually a spirit box. Just to let you know.
Oh, cool.
I built a couple, and I've got like 6, 8 of them. I don't know. I forget how many I have all over. I got them all over the place. And I bought this one, and it's actually a modern reproduction. So it's still an AM FM radio, but there was an open area in the bottom that I opened it up, and I put in all the little components in there. So I could actually, sometimes I'll be down here and I'll just go and I'll just, turn that on and I'll just let it play and see what it has to say to me.
Real quick, we just want to say a couple of our friends hopped in. 305 Jen and Mondo from 305 Paranormal, Joey and Joy and Joy from JJ Paranormal out west, and Alini, who's we met at the Ritz Theater about a month ago. We're actually going to go on an investigation with her at the end of the month.
Awesome.
So thanks for everybody for tuning in. So
yeah, thanks for showing up.
So you were talking about investigating. So how often do you investigate your basement with the items that are?
Well, it's funny. It's funny because early on, everybody said the same thing. Don't ever investigate your house.
Right.
I mean, to me, it's like, I don't know. I mean, how else are you going to learn how to use your gear? I mean, that's something to me. I mean, you go out and you spend $500 for a meter or something. You're going to go to an event, go to a location, and you're going to go and learn how to use it there. Well, that's wrong because I mean, the only way that you can be a successful investigator is to understand how everything works. I have these Sony recorders. They're old, and I've got 3 of them. They are a pup to go, and when you got thick fingers like mine, they're a pup trying to go and get them to record and actually work. So I'm always like playing around with them in the basement and stuff. I got a little story for you. And it comes, and it's with this, the spirit box behind me. So 2 years ago, I went blind actually in my right eye. I've had a lot of problems with the right eye for all my life, and I had to have a cornea transplant, which I'm blessed because I got like over 80% of my vision back in that eye, which is crazy.
Wow.
So when you have eye surgery, you can't do anything. I'm talking anything. You can't pick up a quart of milk for weeks. You can't do any of that stuff. So I'm like, I got to move. I can't, I go to the gym, 4 or 5 days a week. And I got to move. So what do? And I'm 68 years old and I refuse to say that I'm a senior citizen. So I go and I buy a chair yoga DVD. I said, okay, I'm going to go on eBay. I'm going to buy this.
Right.
So I buy it. So I turned to, and I've worked with it a little bit just to keep myself moving, keep my joints going. So I turn off the sound and I turn on I call it squawk box. So I've turned on the scanner. So I'm thinking to myself about the guy who I got this graft from.
Right.
And I'm thinking to myself, I'd like to honor him, but I really don't know really what I would do. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, geez, I'd really like to know who you are. Now, the only thing I knew, he was 55 years old. He didn't have cancer or AIDS. He was in decent health. And I'm just assuming it was an accident or so. And I'm kind of sitting there and, I'm doing my thing, and all of a sudden I think I hear, now at first I wasn't sure, but you know how you get that scanner sound, that cha 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 cha, and what happened was it dropped to nothing, to no sound. The name Felix came through.
Ooh.
Went to dead a couple seconds and then went back into the scanning. Yeah. And I went and I said, Felix, do I know you? It's so funny because I tell this to people, but if you're not a paranormal investigator, you don't get it because it's like a natural reaction. So do I know you? Same thing here. Cha-cha-cha, and it dies. Went dead. It says transplant.
Ooh.
Went dead and then went back into scanning. I sat there, and it's the first time in my entire life. Now, I've had this happen only once before where in my old house, the old house we used to live in, where it said, you will scream, that something like that came through. But this is the first time, and this is the first time that I actually, the hair on my arms stood up. I am like, whoa, So I get a hold of my buddy at university, and I said, listen, this is what happened. So the first thing out of his mouth, and he does audio work, he does a lot of sound and audio work. He goes, well, did you record it? I said, Mike, come on, give me a break. I had surgery 2 weeks ago. I'm down here stretching. I'm just listening up. He goes, okay. AM or FM? I said, well, it was FM. I said, I have it set on FM. I said, and he goes, okay, because AM, there's a lot of talk radio and stuff on there. Could have got hooked on that. Mm-hmm. He goes, let me ask you this now. The word transplant, was it to a mechanical voice? I said, absolutely not. It was like a regular voice. It wasn't that, And he goes, okay. Was there a space between the syllables? Like transplant? I said, no, it was one word tight, transplant. He goes, okay, Tim. He said, I can tell you something. I can't understand what happened because I don't have a recording. I can't tell you decibels or I can't tell you anything like that. He says, but I'm going to tell you it's very unusual that you got a name Felix. And then after, in real time, when you asked, do I know you? This came through same way where it went dead, like it dropped a frequency or just like whatever it was. And a solid word came out, a 2-syllable solid word that it didn't sound like it was catching on 2 different frequencies. He says, I can't understand it. He says, I can tell you that's one hell of a personal experience, but we can't prove it. We can't use it as evidence. But he goes, as a personal experience, that was amazing. At that point, I realized that, I think that this guy's first name was Felix. And that came through because a lot of times you have to watch it because you're matrixing a lot of this stuff up here, and sometimes you're hearing things and bringing it in. The problem is this was just too clear, and it dropped. It was like to nothing. There was dead silence. It's like it came down, said what it had to say, dead silence, and then went back into the chatter. And I haven't had it repeat yet. And that was like 2 years ago. And so I don't know. At that point, I said, there might be something to this stuff, I guess, after all, But again, it was more of a validation for me that it showed me that whoever it was, or let's not even say whoever it was, that there's something beyond. I mean, as a medium and all that, you get like all this other stuff, Sometimes you get proof, evidential proof, but this was something that was almost tangible for me. So it came at a point where I was sort of like wavering a little bit. My spirituality was wavering a little bit, and you have to question it constantly. And it was one of those time periods, and that just cemented it right back to me. So I know that there's something out there. So whatever is here, whoever's little graft in there, I got to thank him, because man, I never thought I'd ever get my sight back with that eye.
Could you ever find out who that was?
No, the banks will not tell you. The graft, the only thing is it's they can just tell you the general, the general deposition around the person,
right.
And it's all right. I mean, it's all right, because I know in my heart that this came from a gentleman that it just that cared enough to go and allow his cornea to be harvested, and that was amazing to me.
I think you should go there and say, well, I just have a question. Was this like Felix? And just watch their facial expressions.
Well, no. Here's my wife. Here's the chief of transplant surgery, who did my work. She goes, do you think that he'll start seeing visions of like what this person saw?
Right.
The doctor looks at us both and says, no, because if it was any other organ, there would be more blood vessels going to it, so it would connect more. But the cornea, there's not enough blood vessels in there, and that's why we have to put it in with all these 6 micro stitches and an air bubble, and it takes so long for it to heal. He went into this whole thing so seriously, and I thought, well, okay, I guess I'm gonna miss out now. Not that I want anybody else's body parts in me if I can at all help it. But,
Right.
But it's just the fact that it was just funny. But he just, what, to him, it was, as the question was like so natural, and that I think that's what scared me.
Very
more.
cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Audra knows all about eyes. She's in the eye industry for quite some time.
I am.
Yeah.
Very fascinating. Yep, I've been around that, so very cool.
Well, the interesting part about it is you could tell that he had some belief there, but at the same time, he tried to give you a scientific explanation of why you wouldn't.
Yeah.
But when you're looking at everybody sitting in this group talking, and you talking about our audience that's watching, the first thing that popped into my mind has nothing to do with it. It's all about the energy attached to the object, right?
I think it is. And that's the exact same thing, because everything is energetic. When you think about it now, everything is constant motion. Everything is vibrating. So I don't feel that it's that far-fetched. Now, it's just me, but I don't feel it's that far-fetched that we can affect these objects, like what's behind me. This love or extreme hate or extreme fear. Something that is, I think that vibratory, cellular, whatever, I think it affects almost the DNA of the object of which, you may affect. I have pieces here that from a child that loved this piece. She passed away from cancer, and she just loved to go in there and see this little compact. That's a little bear that she used to like to look at. And when she passed, the family, the parents actually saw her in her own room, looking at this piece, after she had passed. And the only reason why they got rid of the piece was because of the fact that they didn't want the rest of the kids to kind of freak out over it. But to me, it was just something that, and again, is it like a true personality? I don't know. Is it a mirror image or a hologram type of image? I don't know. All I know is these are things that happen. And I believe that some certain things do possess some kind of frequency or vibration. And I think that's where mediums pick this stuff up from. I think it's a lot of it all has to do with vibration. Friends of mine are very, very scientific orientated, and they're discovering that sometimes there's these little like mini flashes, and they kind of call them little mini wormholes. And when these things happen, all of a sudden there's phenomena that accompanies it. So we don't know. I mean, there's so much out there. So we can conjecture so much, but I think the sky's the limit. I think that's what's so fascinating about the paranormal field, that we get a chance to get out there and we get a chance to touch it and we get a chance to experiment with it in whichever way form you want. And that's what makes it so incredibly exciting.
So Tim, I got a question for you. With all of your experience and everything that you've done and all your years in the paranormal and everybody that you've known, you have had to have done vast amounts of privates and vast amounts of public investigations. You've been into some intense stuff. What was your most profound experience?
Simple. Working with an exorcist and 14-year-old girl. And we were there just to kind of make her sit in the chair. And we had her hands on her shoulder. And she, at one point, she just jumped and just like pushed two of us back into the wall. I'm 6'1", you know. At the time, I was about 260.
Wow.
She just threw us right into the wall, you know. Could that have been like massive amounts of adrenaline? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, the timing was really interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, but I mean that can be like really, really intensive. I mean, I think for something that's not so huge, I think just the fact that, of sitting there and having getting somebody's, someone's loved one, get a name for them and be able to go and key in a little bit. That to me those are the simple pleasures. Those are the things that I find are far more important than any of the big stuff. A lot of people have asked me, I've written a bunch of books and stuff, but they've asked me, well, you never wrote about like these big things that you ever did, and I just don't. To me, the big things aren't what's very important. To me, it's all the small things. It's the small miracles every day that are far more important. To be able to go and bring solace to someone who, a widow who's lost her husband, or right. Somebody that really misses their mom or whatever. That to me is far more important than anything else that's out there, even in the paranormal world.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's that personal connection and being able to provide that, you as a medium being able to provide that closure for that person, that comfort.
Yeah.
To let them know. So Ron and Lourdes, right? So
I love both of them. They are excellent. They are beyond excellent. I'm going to tell you right now.
We're blessed to be close, four of us are close, blessed to be friends with them, and we're in Jersey, so we're not that far, and we've been able to go to a lot of sessions with them, and some of the proprietary information that comes through when they do their sessions that provides comfort and closure to some of those. That's what it's about, like you talked about.
It's so funny because, like I said, I've worked with. I mean, I forgot. Somebody asked me how many TV shows I've been on. I don't really remember. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't. 13, 15. I don't know, something like that. And they asked me, well, you're out there and you're working and all this stuff. Isn't it like so like mind blowing? Well, it's mind blowing that this kid from Western New York, never expected any of this to ever happen to me. And, just to be able to go and rub elbows with these people are great and learn from them. But in all honesty, I mean, one of the best people I've ever worked with was Jack Osborne. And we had a pretty good intensive conversation one time about, you know, what's important in life. And he is like, first of all, he's a real deal. He really did know his stuff.
Yeah.
But second of all, I mean, he was just a nice guy. And that's what he felt was so important, you know, and, you know, he was big into, you know, like dreams. We were talked about his dream state or something, you know, and he just felt it was so important to know that there is something out there and there's something more, you know, there's something more to this. So, I mean, that to me is what's great. I mean, I think that's great. Plus on top of it, I get, again, you know, I've been blessed. You know, Andrea Perrin and Johnny Zaffis are two of my favorite friends, and Dustin Perry, who's, you know, he's just just a blessed guy. He's just a great guy. I get a chance to hang out with these people, you know, and there's nothing better than sitting down at the end of the night and just talking about all sorts of things. Right. You know, you usually have one night where you sit there and you laugh until you fall off the chair. And then you have a second night where, you know, you really get into the nitty gritty of what we're doing. And to me, I think that's so important. But like I said, it's all small things. To me, that's what's more important than anything else.
So Chris asked you about your experience, kind of, you know, most relevant experience during the investigation. So you know, how we kind of connected, I think it was through TikTok. I think I had shared
Yes.
The EVP. So I wanted to bring that up. So that's my question to you. So Carmela had gotten, because we don't have the money to buy a DR60. So we got the Sony, the ICD ST25, and we had
the best. I'm going to tell you what, I own 3 of them. I own 3 of those. I absolutely adore those. And we learned about it. My friend Frank from the Western Block, which is which is a haunted location in Lockport, New York, that I kind of volunteer at. They heard about it from somebody. I can't remember who they heard it from, but we were talking about it. So then it was the big race, whoever could find one and buy it. Blew my mind. Absolutely blew my mind. And so I bought one, and then I bought a backup because I dropped things. And then I found another one in the box from Japan. I said, I need it. And I believe I love the 25, and I like the 10 too, because I've had some really good success with the 10. The DR60s, I'm not impressed by it. Number one, price wise. I think it's a fad, and I think it's just way too much. I think if we go out there and if you pay that much money for a piece of equipment, that's tough. If you got the extra, listen,
I'm using it every investigation.
You know, every event. I'm gonna take it with me when I'm going shopping. I'm gonna be doing EVPs in the grocery store for that price. You know, and don't get me wrong, you guys know the 25 is a little pricey. But I would much rather pay. I think I paid $150 for each one of these things, or maybe $100. I don't know. So something like that. But I would rather go and pay something about that price to get clearer recordings than anything else. Now, I talked to a guy about the shielding in there and sometimes the false positives and stuff that you may get. Right. If you're careful, you're in good shape. Number 2, I'm a firm believer of going back and using Faraday bags. I love them. I mean, I grew up, when we started doing those, we would go out and look for old microwaves in the garbage, strip them out, and then take these microwaves with us on investigation and actually put a recorder inside it. Now what I do is I put recorders, let's say 225s, 125 in the bag and 125 on the outside of the bag, and that's how I do a lot of my work. And you know, I'm going to tell you.
So have you had more? So what kind of results have you had doing that
in the Faraday bag? I actually got better stuff in the Faraday bag than I have on the open, doing it in the open. And I don't believe that it's like the actual equipment. I believe it's the vibration of the person who's using it. Now, as a spiritualist, we were taught to take our seance tools, you know, the trumpet and the, you know, and if you're using chalk and you're using the slates, which now we use Etch-a-Sketches with, it works the same way, or like a bell or whatever. We used to put it underneath our bed because the theory was that you had to attune to those, to the piece, to your tools. And I'm a firm believer in the same with the paranormal, because I feel that you can turn around and take almost anything, let's say any recorder, and if you use it enough and you work with it enough, I believe it attunes to your vibration, and it brings it in. Why else when you start dowsing? I'm a big dowser, love dowsing.
Okay.
Why else when you're dowsing, which is ideomotor response, you're moving at micro movements. The spirit is not running around doing this to it. You're doing it. But the responses, where are they coming from? So you become that antenna. So if you go and you push it a little bit further, you become the antenna to the piece that you're working with, to the tool that you're working with. And I found that for me personally, that by just like putting a finger on it, or even like when I work with the Faraday bags, I will go and I'll put it in the Faraday bag, I'll seal it up, and I'll just put one little finger lightly on the bag. Just real super lightly. And I mean, sometimes I'll just go and I'll just butt my finger up to the seam. I get responses. So I'm a firm believer. But the 25s, that's the cat's ass. That's the cat's ass, man. I love those.
I still struggle with the buttons, and I have little fingers, but I still.
Oh my God, I got these paws, and I'm trying to correctly. And then of course, I've got to have my glasses on. Then I got a headlamp so I can see what I'm doing, in the dark. It's like I feel like a clown circus.
Yeah. Well, we do that too with it.
Yeah.
Not that button, but the other button. No, not that button.
Yeah, we were just on investigation and we used it, and it was the end of the night. We went with a bunch of family members, and it was chaotic with family members.
Family was just jumping out of closets.
Yeah, it was. So at the
just for fun.
End of the night at White Hill Mansion, which is 10 minutes from us in Fieldsboro, we did an EVP session in the speakeasy, and our one son, when he asked, there was a little Lightning McQueen car on the back part of the bar. He comes to him, he asked the question, what color is the car? Everybody asked it. He got the response. You hear we believe a little boy's voice. It's red.
Mm-hmm.
I love, played, did you ever play the counting game?
No.
Everybody, what happens is everybody in the group will count. Let's say we'll count to 5. And we announce, tell us the next number after we stop.
Okay.
And everybody go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we stop, right? We have, kind of prearrange that.
Right.
And you wait 30 to 60 seconds. Always wait that 30 to 60 seconds. I'll never forget. I'm standing there with a 25 and you hear 7. I am like, okay, let's play this one back, because I could be matrixing this, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Playing it. Everybody heard it. Everybody heard it. That was like amazing. And that's when I realized at that point that was, for a older piece of equipment, I don't think twice about using that. Olympus too. I get the coffin, like they call them the coffin boxes.
Yep.
I like those too. I use those a lot.
Awesome.
That's great.
Well, we have run over a little bit, but I want to make sure that you get to talk about your books a little bit, Tim.
Oh, my books. Oh my God. You know what? Look for Tim Shaw on Amazon. I'm not even sure what's still available anymore. Out of 6 books, I know 3 of them are still available. I think the Dogma of Me is on Kindle. It's still open. The Ghost of Buffalo is still up. I'm trying to think. Haunted Rochester, that I co-wrote with some friends, that's still up. And I've wrote a lot of like chapters in other people's books. So that's all out there. But if you guys want to go check out what I'm doing, go to timothytshaw.com. And you'll see what I'm doing. I'm trying to catch up with everything. I do have my podcast, which is called the Black Cat Lounge. It's live Tuesday nights at 8:00, and I have I have extra episodes on my page, and also we're on the Paraflix Entertainment Network. Also, if you want to hear like older shows and you don't want to sit there and watch something, The old Para X network came back into existence last year.
Yeah.
Ron Kulik bought it, and that's where I started out. That's where I first started out, and you can hear some of them. I think I gave him my old catalog, and now I think we're up to like next year or last year's shows, so you can listen to that on audio. And soon, if I can ever get my rear end in gear, we'll be on Spotify too. But I haven't gotten that far in my life yet.
So Mary
it
Beth,
sounds like you have so much time on your hands, right, Tim?
You know what? It sounds like I'm busy, but us retired people, you got, you got to sit there and you got to think about important things in life, like, should I have a second cup of coffee? Should I go? What color socks should I put on today? These are important things.
They are.
So Melissa's. I'm sure we could all agree we could listen to Tim for hours. I was listening to Tim and Johnny's Zaffis the other night, and that was 2 hours. And you probably could have gone for another 2 hours, and it would have been that time would have went by just like that. So it's
Well, let's face it, Johnny is my slightly older brother. He's 3 months older than me, and I never let him forget it. And Johnny and I, we first met, believe it or not, at the Buffalo Central terminal here in Buffalo, New York. Many like 25. We figured out we've known each other between 25 and 30 years. We've known each other, and he's probably one of the most remarkable people I've ever met. But he's also he and I are just like two peas in a pod,
Yeah.
That's what's scary. That's what's scary.
Well, what's
That's
scary
funny.
is when you put a hat on Todd and you have the two of them together. He's like a young version of Johnny Zaffis, and then there's Johnny Zaffis. It's weird.
So what was it, last year or 2 years? I think 2 years, because we weren't able to go last year real fast. NJ, John Ruggiero and Chris Therian for their Paracon. We were there, and a guy that was controlling the line to go in to see Johnny in his room, in the classroom that he was in at the Paragon. I had a beard, so like during the winter I like this, and it was trimmed just like him. And he looked, he's like, he took it down. He's like, holy shit. He's like, you're Johnny's like stunt double.
That's funny.
Listen, that's not a good thing though. Not a good thing.
That's funny. All right, Tim, it was wonderful having you on, and man, it's a great show. Like Todd said, we go on for hours.
Yes.
Yeah,
We will
anytime,
definitely
guys.
have to have you back on.
It's always an honor to come on, and again, like it's just fun to be able for me to talk shop and be on the other side of the interview, and I don't have to sit here and like look at all my notes and and hope that I can keep the show going in a forward motion without too many stumbles. But it was so much fun. You guys are so cool, and I do appreciate what you guys do. And I'm telling you, that 25 people out there, if you get a chance, the Sony ST-ICD 25 to ST25, get that, because I have never, out of all the years and all the recorders, I've had literally hundreds of recorders I've used over the years, whether it's for video that we're doing or whatever. That for EVP collection, I don't know why, I don't know how, but it works great. It works great.
Yeah. I still have to listen to it.
That's fantastic.
That's what I do.
All right, Tim, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for watching again this week. Make sure you tune in again next week, same time, same YouTube channel, same guests,
Haunted
same
channel.
hosts. Same hosts. Sorry, the hosts aren't going to change. You're stuck with us. But make sure you guys tune in next week for the great show. Tim, thank you again. What a fantastic show we had tonight, guys. And guys, remember, if you want to take a trip around the paranormal world, you got to check out Tim Shaw. But most of all, you got to stay haunted, guys. Have a good night. We'll see you next week.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in.
Good night, guys.